My name is Skylar Helm, and I was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis at 16. CF is a genetic disease, and if both parents are carriers, there's 1 in 4 chance that your child will have CF. There's only about 100,000 people in the entire world that have cystic fibrosis. So when I was 12, I got really sick, just an average cold, but it took forever to get rid of. And we played around with different foods, products that I used every day, bedding. It was that unknown of what was triggering my cough and what was making me so ill. We just wanted answers. And I went to an allergy and asthma specialist. He actually looked at my fingernails and saw that they're clubbing. And they noticed right away that that's a sign of lack of oxygen. So he sent me for a sweat test. And right away, the sweat chloride was above average. And they pretty much knew right away that I had cystic fibrosis. At the age of 16, I was diagnosed. I was put on treatments. I started feeling better. I was doing really well in sports and dance again, feeling on top of the world. And then I went away to school at the age of 18. And I had a very hard time juggling school and social life and extracurriculars and all of that. And I thought the best thing to give up, make myself more time, was to take out my treatments. So I took out my treatments and I got really sick and my lung function declined and I was in and out of the hospital. I had to go on many different antibiotics and it just ran me to the ground. It's when I know that I'm never going to stop my treatments again, because my lung function still hasn't gone back up from when I stopped doing my treatments, unfortunately, but I am very hopeful that it will, and I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. So I do multiple treatments a day, 2 to 3 that are 20-25 minutes each. And this medication goes down into my lungs and it helps break up the mucus. The mucus production in my body is very, very thick, whereas a normal person, it's thin, it goes through your body as normal. With someone who has CF, it gets stuck in your lungs, intestines, pancreas, everywhere it should not be. And this medication helps break it down in the lungs so I can easily cough it up and clear out my lungs. So this is the compressor, and this will nebulize the medication. Multiple puffers that I take in a day, just to help keep my airways clear, and it helps before I work out as well. My pancreas doesn't work, so my body has a hard time breaking down proteins and fats. So I take, throughout the day, I probably take about 20 enzymes a day, depending on how much I eat and how much fat and protein is in my diet that day. You never know when you're gonna get sick. And it can happen in a day. You can feel it leading up in the weeks coming, and you know you're going to have a hospital stay. And you never know how long those hospital stays are going to be. It could be a week, it could be 6 weeks. You never know. And in those times where you're in the hospital, all you want to do is be outside. And I appreciate not being in the hospital when I'm healthy and active and living my daily life. I work out for my mental sanity. I love the feeling of lifting heavy and feeling powerful and knowing that I can keep up with anyone else in the gym. And for a second, I feel normal. I feel normal without having CF. I refuse to let CF come between me and my dreams and my future and what I want to do. I refuse to let it affect my daily life. Being diagnosed with cystic fibrosis, you can absolutely feel defeated, but there's many things that keep me motivated. Currently, my lung function is sitting at 62%, and that's declined about 30% in the last 8 years. If I fast forward 8 years, that would bring my lung percentage to 30, and that terrifies me. The last thing I want to do is be on the lung transplant list, and that keeps me motivated every single day. Other things that keep me motivated are my clients. I want to inspire them every day to live a healthy lifestyle, and I feel like I need to do that for myself to help them. Another thing is I look up to many people who also have CF, people younger, people older, and sometimes they reach out, and that also keeps me motivated, knowing that I can show them a positive way of living with CF as well. I also really look forward to my future. I want to travel, I want to see things and do things. The list is endless. And lastly, I don't want to look sick. I don't want to be defined by cystic fibrosis. The average lifespan for someone with CF in Canada is 51 years old. As hard as it is living with CF physically, mentally it's 100 times harder. I constantly think about death, and though I'm not afraid of death and it's not so much a fear, the challenge is thinking about how I'm going to feel at that end point and how it's going to feel to breathe. If it's already hard now to breathe, how much harder is it going to be when it's 20 or 30%? And that's what scares me. I'm gonna cry. I refuse to let CF come between me and my dreams and my future, and I refuse to let CF affect my daily life and hold me back in any way. The reason I'm sharing my story with you today is to break the stigma of an invisible illness. Cystic fibrosis is a very complicated disease, and there's not a lot of education out there that's available and easy. This is my first step to make it known.